Last night, 1,500 people packed the Tabernacle right here in Atlanta. And Ossoff, he gets on stage and says, the math doesn't work on groceries, rent, and utility bills for Georgia families. And I'm here in Cobb County. I just came from the grocery store. I see my utility bill every month. And my first thought was, so now y'all care? Right before an election? Let's talk about it.
On Sunday afternoon, people packed the Tabernacle to hear Senator Jon Ossoff. He says he's ready for the upcoming election. The senator will face either Mike Collins or Derek Dooley.
But Atlanta, it doesn't matter which one wins. They're both corrupt political insiders, and they're both pro-war, pro-tariff, and pro-cutting your health care.
Senator Ossoff says his campaign is for everyone.
Because this campaign's not just for Democrats. It's for everyone who sees things spiraling out of our control, who longs for sanity and competence, and sees the same old politics failing.
He discussed a number of issues from health care, the war, and rising costs.
Groceries, rent, insurance, taxes, the car note, the power bill, the math just does not work. And it feels like no matter how hard you hustle, you can't get ahead.
Keisha Lance Bottoms, Democratic candidate for governor, joined the senator.
I look forward to working with Jon to deliver for people across Georgia.
She says she supports Senator Ossoff and looks forward to working with him.
I will never be afraid to stand up for our families and our economy. I'm ready for the fight ahead, and I know that you are too.
Senator Ossoff says he hears from people across the state that they need change and new ideas. He says it's time for lower health care costs, affordable housing, and to save family farms.
The United States is still destined for greatness. But only united will we meet the challenges and seize the opportunities. So let's give them a united Georgia.
All right, what's good, everyone? I'm Wit, and I'm coming at you right outside ATL, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? This one is local. This one is personal because what happened at the Tabernacle last night is happening right here in our backyard, and it affects every single person watching this in Georgia. We're talking about Jon Ossoff, Keisha Lance Bottoms, a packed house in downtown Atlanta, and some real talk that Georgia voters need to hear before November. So let's get into it. So here's what went down last night. Senator Jon Ossoff and Keisha Lance Bottoms, who just secured the Democratic nomination for governor of Georgia, held a joint rally at the Tabernacle in downtown Atlanta. Over 1,500 people showed up, packed house, energy was high. But this was not a casual campaign event. This was the official launch of what looks like a unified Democratic ticket for 2026. Senate and governor running together, campaigning together, presenting a united front to Georgia voters from the jump. And Ossoff came out swinging. He said, I'm quoting him directly, the math does not work on groceries, rent, and utility bills for working families in Georgia. He called Trump a failed president and a national disgrace. He called his Republican opponents, Mike Collins and Derek Dooley, Trump puppets. He said, and this line got the crowd going, let them hear all the way down at Mar-a-Lago that Georgia will bow to no king. And then Keisha Lance Bottoms was right there on that stage with him, former mayor of Atlanta, deep roots in this city. And she brings a different energy than Stacey Abrams. I mean, I didn't really see any type of advertisements from Keisha, and she won that with no problems. I think she won 28 of the 29 counties, and with the one county she did miss, she missed it by a few votes. And when I say a few, I think probably about 100 or something like that, maybe even 10 or 19. So, but she brings like a different energy than Stacey Abrams. She's more moderate, more business friendly, stronger name recognition in Metro Atlanta specifically. And while all of this was happening on the Republican side, Collins and Dooley are still fighting each other in a runoff that doesn't happen until June 16th. So Democrats are already running the general election campaign while Republicans are still trying to figure out who their candidate even is. So on paper, that's a significant head start. but paper doesn't always translate to November, right? And that's exactly why Georgia voters need to pay close attention right now. All right. Now, let me give you the Cobb County perspective because that's where I'm coming from and I think it matters. Ossoff, who is not wrong about that math, I want to be straight about that because I'm not here to just take a side. I'm here to tell you the truth as I see it. I go to the grocery store. I see what things cost: eggs, chicken, produce. I remember what these things cost a year ago, right? We'll say 3 years ago, more so, right? And I see what they cost right now. The difference is real. And it's not a talking point. It's what actually in my cart and what's actually coming out of my wallet every single week. Utility. The Georgia power bills have gone up. Gas prices go up and down, but mostly up. When I say gas, I mean home gas, right? Rent in the metro Atlanta has been outpacing income growth for years. Young people cannot afford to buy homes in the same neighborhoods their parents bought in. And that's not politics, that's math. So when Ossoff stands on that stage at the Tabernacle and says the math doesn't work, he is describing something real, something that Georgia families are actually living right now. But, and this is the part I need Georgia voters to really sit with, where was all of this energy before? Democrats control the United States Senate from January 21 to January 2025, 4 years. They had the same Senate. They had the White House. They had the opportunity and the power to move things. What got done in those 4 years that made groceries more affordable for families in Cobb County? What legislation passed that brought rent down in Metro Atlanta? What happened to utility bills during that window? If the answer is not enough, and I think that most honest people, regardless of what party, would say not enough, then showing up to the Tabernacle in an election year talking about grocery bills raises a real question. Did you just remember we exist before you needed our votes? Right? And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough in this conversation. And it needs to, because none of this matters if people don't vote, right? And the people who don't want us voting know that. That's why there's an active, ongoing, systemic effort in this country right now to make it harder for certain people to cast a ballot. Georgia has been ground zero for this fight. We've seen it here firsthand. Polling locations reduced in certain counties. Polling locations moved in certain counties for the election day. Voter roll purges, ID requirements tightened, drop boxes eliminated or restricted. The line to vote in some Georgia counties in 2020 was hours long, and that was by design. When you make it harder to vote, you are specifically targeting the people who have the least flexibility in their day. Hourly workers, people without transportation, elderly voters, working parents. And at the federal level, the Trump regime has been pushing policies and appointing judges that make voting access harder, not easier. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's documented policy. People here in Atlanta feel it, and we know it. It is a pattern of decisions that consistently make it more difficult for Black voters, for brown voters, for young voters, and low-income voters to participate in democracy. That's not democracy. That's voter suppression with a legal framework around it. So when I say Georgia voters need to show up, I mean it with full knowledge that showing up is harder than it should be. And I mean it with full knowledge that there are people in power right now who are counting on you to get frustrated and stay home. Don't give them that. Register. Know your polling location, and not just your polling location for early voting. They will change the polling location for the election day. So know your location, know your ID requirements, make a plan, and vote like your life depends on it. Because in a lot of ways, as we found, it does. So here's exactly where I land in all of this. And I want to be completely real with my Georgia people. I'm not telling you who to vote for. That's not what this channel is about. What this channel is about is making sure you have the full picture so you can make an informed decision for yourself. And the full picture is this: Ossoff and Bottoms showed up in Atlanta with energy, with a unified message, and with the right diagnosis of what Georgia families are dealing with. I respect that. I'm with it. But here's what I need from them and what I need from every Georgia voter to demand from them. Don't just show up when you need our vote. Show up when you have the power to actually do something with our votes, because we have been electing people for decades, both sides, who talk a good game on the campaign trail and then get to Washington or the governor's mansion and forget we exist until the next election cycle. I'm tired of it. Georgia families are tired of it. Just like they're trying to, you can see in the news where all of a sudden they're giving us medical cannabis and things that people have been asking for years. And all of a sudden, when the election cycle comes up, all of a sudden we can get some of these things that they want, right? We need people in office who actually give a damn about us, not about their donors, not about their party, not about their next fundraiser, about us, about the people standing in the grocery store, doing the math in their head, trying to figure out what they can put back on the shelf. And let's be real about what we're up against right now. This current regime, not an administration, this current regime is not operating in the interests of everyday people. The policies coming out of Washington, the tariffs making everything more expensive, the gutting of programs that families depend on, the voting restrictions, the rhetoric that divides. This is not an administration that sees us. And by us, I mean working people, Black people, brown people, people who don't have a Mar-a-Lago membership, people who actually live in the real world. So this is a regime that has shown us exactly who it is. And it has shown us that white supremacy doesn't always wear a hood. Sometimes it wears a suit and signs executive orders. So yes, I'm with Ossoff and Bottoms showing up. I'm with the energy. I'm with the unified ticket. But my support and your support needs to come with conditions. Earn it. Then keep earning it, because Georgia deserves elected officials who actually help us instead of not giving us a damn about us the moment they don't need our votes anymore. So I want to hear from Georgia specifically on this one. Cobb County, DeKalb, Clayton, Gwinnett, Fulton, South Georgia, all of it. Drop it in the comments, right? Are you registered to vote? Are you planning to show up in November? And what would Ossoff and Bottoms actually have to do? Not say, do, to earn your vote. Because I think Georgia voters are smarter and more politically aware than both parties give us credit for. And I think this race is generally up for grabs in a way that the national media isn't fully appreciating. So drop it below. Real talk only. No talking points. I read every comment.